Hey, this is Paul. I haven't done this for a while. We had Holy Week. It was, what's this? Oops. Sorry, Job. Had Holy Week. Was busy. And I'll see if I can get this to work. There it goes. Had Holy Week, was busy, so I haven't just had enough time to make videos lately. But we've got all the Peugeot stuff that's piling up, and some stuff from a whole bunch of other things that have been in my head. Even though I don't make videos, I keep watching things and I keep thinking things and I keep wanting to make things, and so things have been busy. But I had a conversation scheduled for 11 o'clock that Mark from More Christ pushed back an hour and a half. I did a conversation with Mark on More Christ with Andrew Root, which was an excellent conversation. I haven't seen that drop on his channel yet. I'm really looking forward to that one dropping and getting some feedback from that. Andrew Root is, of course, sort of working. He's a seminary professor at Luther Seminary, working sort of the Barthian, Charles Taylor angle on things. So catching up on the Rest is History podcast. Some interesting stuff going on over there. And just seeing if anybody wants to chat a little bit. Like I said, I've got about an hour, and so I can talk about pretty much whatever's on your mind. I'm interested in what is ever on your mind, because that helps me know what's going on out there in the world. So if anybody wants to pop on, I put the link in the comments. I know that there's some other people chatting in some other rooms in the Bridges of Meaning Discord, so I don't necessarily want to bother them. Thanks, Bruce. In Real Life Politique. Yeah, I saw your comment about Curtis Yarvin, and that's actually, if I get some time this afternoon, I might do some commentary on that, because part of what I'm figuring out is how to contextualize Peugeot, Kings North, James Lindsay, Brett Weinstein, all of those conversations. There's been so much stuff that flew out of Peugeot's channel before Easter. He was just trying to get all that stuff out before Eastern Orthodox Easter, and so he glutted us with a bunch of things right at the time that I didn't have time to process things. So looking forward to diving into a whole bunch of that. Let's see, I'll get things set up here. Usually people drop in fairly quickly, but there we go. Okay, that's all set up now. So yep, myself and Rick had a brief meeting with Jordan Peterson and Tammy when he was out in Santa Rosa. I thought it was a good meeting. It was just kind of a get to know you. It's difficult for someone like Jordan Peterson. When you think about Jordan Peterson's life over the last 5 years, it's really quite insane. He referenced it in the talk in Santa Rosa, the number of people that he's met, the number of people that want to talk to him, the number of people that dialogue with him. And I know those of you who watch my channel are like, well, when's Paul going to talk to Jordan Peterson on, when's Paul going to do a conversation with Jordan Peterson? There's a lot of people who want a lot of conversations with Jordan Peterson. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it happens at some point. But, someone just stopped in. Looks like a Heidegger fan. Oh, and someone else. Go ahead and turn on your cameras, and we can chat a little bit. Like I said, I've got about an hour, and here's a regular. This guy's
Paul. This so on I'm IRL Politique on YouTube, so nice to talk to you.
Oh, wonderful. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, sorry I don't have my webcam set up, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, anyway, just nice to say hello finally.
Yeah, yeah, it's a pleasure. And I saw your comment about Curtis Yarvin. So why? What's your interest in him, and what's your interest in my take on him?
Yeah, awesome. Well, I knew him as his old handle,
Yep,
Moldbug, right?
yep.
And I never really read him until recently. But all my friends at the time, they were big into like the that sort of what do they call it, dark enlightenment.
Yep.
So through them, I got a lot of I got a lot of the ideas,
Okay.
and so uh, I like his realism angle with politics. How uh, basically you have to look around politically, and you have to be very realistic and not so idealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I appreciated that. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
Um, like I know principles are great. We all want to have principles in politics, but we also need to get what we want too. Otherwise, we're just losing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of famous for saying that, conservatives are just loyal opposition and they're always going to lose. And, if you basically go down with your own ship if you're so strictly following certain principles and your opponents are just like being realists,
Mm-hmm.
they're it's not necessarily I agree with that totally, but it's refreshing in a lot of ways. But yeah, he's also really funny too. Like he is very witty and um, no one else really says the things that he says.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I don't agree with everything he says, but
Yeah. Well, who of
so
us who of us agrees with everything someone else says? I mean, you can be married to someone for 30 years and have all kinds of disagreements. So,
I didn't watch, and I was also big into the Stoa a couple years ago, but they
okay.
kind of got a little too in the clouds for me.
Okay.
Kind of, I don't know if you understand what I mean, but
Yeah, I
they.
think I do.
So um, but yeah, other than that, if you're gonna treat it, I would love to hear it. So
Okay. I
thanks.
think I probably will because it connects with a whole bunch of other things that I've been reading and thinking about. So it because I'm so backlogged with a bunch of things. I'm looking for things that can sort of tie other pieces together and make sense. Paul Kingsnorth and Mary Harrington just did a thing on Rebel Wisdom 2, which I thought was quite interesting. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So
Did you listen to the Douglas Murray, Joe Rogan thing?
no,
You need to listen to that one.
when did that drop?
Just a few days ago, and I listened to it yesterday, and it was like, okay, Paul's gonna need to do a whole thing on this.
I'm so frustrated with Rogan because if I try and do commentary with the actual video, YouTube takes it, so I have to. The video isn't as much fun keeping him in a different screen. And I mean, you can. I'm not going to spend time just farting around with the video so that it gets past the YouTube filter. But
Just do the audio. What do you need the video for?
yeah, no, I agree. So it's not quite as nice though. It's not quite as nice.
And I started a podcast.
You started a podcast.
I started a podcast. It's called Post Platonic, and it's very different.
All right, Jacob. Good for you. How are you, Manuel?
I also started a podcast,
You
or better
also
said, an
started a
interview series.
Grim Grizz
Um,
Grim Grizz asks about the so when we met with Jordan Peterson, there were a couple of reps from CAA that were talking to him about something. I have no idea what's going on with that, but they were in the room too, and about the only thing that they kept. Do you have a podcast? Do you have a podcast? And I said I have an audio version of what I'm doing on YouTube. They asked me that 3 or 4 times. It's like, what are you looking for? You don't have enough big names. You're looking for small fish now. So if they're watching the channel, 2 more podcasts have been birthed into the world.
First, I think you should sign up with CAA if they're willing to sign you. Um, Honestly, you should.
They didn't
And
make an offer.
you should have taken. They don't make offers.
Yeah,
You should
they
have
call
taken their
you.
business card and you should call them.
No,
Um,
CAA calls you. I think that's how it works.
Second, I think it, a lot of people have started realizing podcasts are where things are going. That's part of the reason I started the podcast. Yes, we have YouTube and it's cute, but podcasts is where you're actually going to be able to get lots of people. And people are listening to podcasts like more than they listen to radios.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between my podcast and something made by, one of the big guys? Not much.
Well, that's where YouTube actually is helpful, because I don't know another engine out there that does discovery as well as YouTube. And there's a lot
Right.
of people who throw podcasts out there, but who's going to know about your podcast? And
But the algorithm hates us.
well, that's the benefit of podcast, which is that it's sort of the last really open bastion on the internet.
And Spotify allows you to use their entire music thing. So I have a musical podcast.
What do you mean that
And
allows them to use their entire music thing?
I can use any piece of music on Spotify in my podcast.
Really?
And I have been.
Even, because YouTube, I mean, you get anything from a...
I go listen to my podcast. You have to be a subscriber of Spotify to hear the full song.
So you're
But
already in the walled garden, Jacob. You're selling out.
There's always a catch.
no. This was part of the plan. Part of the plan is to get people onto Spotify to listen, because that's where we are. That's where Uncle Joe is, and Uncle Joe is the most valuable player in this corner of the internet.
I
Joe
haven't
Biden?
I haven't gotten mine on Spotify yet. I have to do that at some point. I have to get rid of all the non-MP3 files in the Podbean history, because Podbean let other things on.
They have this thing, Anchor.fm, I think it is, that I'm using.
Yeah.
I own, so I can only syndicate to Spotify because I'm using the music.
Right.
But it'll syndicate to the other ones as well.
Yeah.
Paul, one of the most interesting threads that you talk about, in my opinion, is the talk radio aspect of all this, and like the changing forms of media throughout the printing press, the radio, television, and now the online stuff. And every time you bring it up, you always make great points. I remember maybe a couple months ago you were talking about how talk radio. It's weird because people have such different opinions about talk radio. Like some people think it's really bad because it creates like this conservative mind space where it's like there's something wrong with talk radio. It gave us Trump and it gave us Rush Limbaugh, and it was like only conservatives were doing talk radio, and then there was a whole backlash against it. And every time you talk about it, you say it's positive, and same with me. I think it's a positive thing to have people discussing things on the radio, callers back and forth. I don't know. That's just a comment, but every time you talk about it, it's interesting to me. It's one of my favorite parts.
Well, it is a big deal. It's in this weird techno world we live. So I was listening to the Verge podcast, and they were talking a little bit about podcasting, and they talked about the fact that, even with Netflix and a bunch of the streaming TV, you have some TV that you really watch, but a lot of people have a lot of TV that's just on in the background. And that's a different kind of TV, and it serves a different function. And there's a lot you could talk about something like that, but I think we do need, if we are going to have all of these electronic tools, I think it's good that we talk with one another and not just have all of the big boys talking at us. So
yeah, you should do whatever you want, but there's a way to get like a phone setup too. You could have your own phone number, call into Paul Vanderklay's radio
Yeah,
show.
yeah. Well, Rick's got all kinds of tricks that we could do. The challenge is, well, there are a few challenges. One of them is the audio quality. So I'm pretty relaxed in terms of that. But even right now, I mean, I can just click this little button and you go away, but because you don't have a camera set up, and not everybody's all set up to do this. So
Yeah, I usually have a camera, but I'm on my PC. I don't have it. I'd have to dig it out.
yeah,
I won't take
trust
up
me,
all
I
the
get
time.
it.
We appreciate it. That's just
Okay.
good to talk to you finally. I
Yeah,
appreciate
no,
it.
it's good to talk to you too. I'm glad to. It's much more rewarding for me to have a voice and a face behind a name, even if part of the challenge is very quickly your Dunbar number gets swamped, but still, it sort of rewards people who invest in a small community, like Manuel and Jacob. I mean, Jacob, I've had lunch with, and Manuel, maybe one of these days. But Matthew's trying to get me flown out to Germany at the end of August for a thing. So, who knows? Who knows all the people that we'll meet? And in June, we're going to have a get together in Chicago, and then later in Grand Rapids. So, I think having in-face meetings is really what we need to be focusing
And
on.
then maybe sometime in Massachusetts this year, Paul.
I should get back to Connecticut. My sister's waiting to do another thing at her place, so
Yeah, I'll
I'm
definitely be there
actually
for it.
doing one of my road trips out to Chicago.
are
So
you?
yes, I'm going to drive out. I'm going to see Pastor Tanner on the way, and Shane and Father Eric, and and I might be actually driving you out to Michigan.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be great. Yeah, well then I don't. That's good that you told me because I have to get my plane tickets, so I have to finalize my times. And so if I just fly into Chicago and then don't worry about if someone can give me a lift to Grand Rapids, that would be awesome. It's not that far, so.
I might be I haven't made my plans completely, but like this is my third road trip in a year, and it's just been such a great experience. I just start driving out, and there are people along the way. By the way, if anybody wants to have lunch with me or something, if you're between Los Angeles and Chicago, let me know. And it's been the most fun thing. These are my vacations. This is my fun time. So.
Well, it was so much fun having you up at Living Stones. That was, and your dog. That was, everything's dogs make everything better. They really do.
Lunch with me or something between Los Angeles and Chicago, let me know.
Someone's got to know.
Dogliness is next to godliness.
It is. It is. It is. So Manuel, you've been very reserved. Did you have something you wanted to chime in on? Or are you just here for the fun?
No, I'm here to plug my new YouTube series. So.
Oh, well, let's hear it.
Yeah, because I'm doing interviews now, but I'm trying to point. Yeah, I'm trying to point at virtues and values. So you've always been saying to me, well, yeah, you need to put it in a story to make it relatable. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. No, then I'm missing the point. And so I found a solution. I get other people to tell me the story, and then I can point at the virtues and values, and then I make their story better.
That's a lovely idea.
I got Michelle to come on, and I got him to do the video on YouTube. So I already surpassed you in that aspect.
All right. So what's the name of the channel?
The name of the channel is Agapic Orientation, and the series is called Unfolding the Soul.
Oh, there he is. Look at this. Subscribe. How about that? I'm subscriber number 61. Oh,
let's get up to 69 at least.
Oh, this is what. Oh, we got some John Vervaeke meditations, and then look at that, Agapic Orientation. Well, there you go. That's a good plug. So anybody who wants to
thank you.
check that out.
Thank you for letting me. And that's my early work with in relation to Vervaeke. So that's the videos we've been using for like 2 years already. Like we recently had the anniversary of the meditation sessions on this. So yeah, like it's still going. So we made something work.
Good. Good. It's nice to see daytime in the Netherlands. Almost all the time when I talk to you, it's night.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like it as well. It's summer coming up, right? So more daytime for us.
Yeah. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing all right. I drove up to New England, so I've been hanging out in New England. That's why I don't have my usual background, and I've got my headset on.
Is this the room that you grew up in?
No.
Oh.
This is my best friend's house.
Oh, it's your best friend's house. Okay.
He was down in before I drove up. I drove up for Easter, basically, just before Easter.
Good.
And he was down in Myrtle Beach, and so they're down in Myrtle Beach. So I went to visit them. It's like 2.5 hours, and they were like, "Oh, you're driving up," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna stay with my friend, and then we'll see what happens." And they were like, "Oh, you're welcome at the house anytime." And I said, "Well, thanks. That's great. I have a key, right? Like you can't keep me out. You're not even there. Like I can just go in. There's nothing to do." So it was very funny. So yeah, they're great. They're all these good hosts. And of course, I had to see the real reason why I drove up was not really Easter, right? Because I'm not terribly practicing.
Well, I was going to ask if you went to church on Easter.
I did not go to church on Easter. No, I did see the family. But the real reason I came up was because my friend had just gotten a very large brand new couch for his living room, and that was very stressful. And then he was getting a hot tub delivered, and I feel like I should have been there in his time of need. So I was there for him to support him.
To sleep on the couch and go in the hot tub.
Yeah. So it was good too because it didn't work, and we had to do things and change things, and nothing ever works, right? So especially complicated things. He had a hot tub. He got a new hot tub, and yet still things don't work because such is the nature of the world. So yeah, it's been very nice being up here. I went bowling with my friend last night, and that was fun. And I don't know if you saw my Twitter. I took a picture of Revere Beach. We were down at Revere Beach getting some pizza slices and stuff.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it was cold, but you don't watch my recipes for Ineffable Beauty, man.
I do see the pictures you put on Twitter. I always notice those.
Yeah. I put one up the other day.
Oh, I might not have caught everyone. The Twitter algorithm is selective in terms of what it shows me.
I know. I just found out I missed one. I was in a Clubhouse room. Well, we just got done. Manuel and I just got done with our Monday Clubhouse room at noon Eastern. But I did a Clubhouse room last night. There's a sci-fi Clubhouse room that is fantastic. It's run by Hollis, and Hollis is awesome. And she actually grew up in New Hampshire, which is kind of funny. Okay. And she was talking about the show Severance, but she was also talking about some other TV show. And she's like, I tweeted it out. I'm like, I'm on her Twitter. Why didn't I see this? I want to see this. So yeah, Twitter is flaky. So you have to go in and wrangle it if you want to get all the good stuff. Sometimes I miss even the Vanderklay Twitter stuff. I'm like, I need to be informed of the Vanderklay stuff here.
Wow. Well, Lynn
Musk is going to buy it.
Lynn wants to know what CAA is. They're a big agency. Maybe, Jacob, you can explain what they are. They manage all Peterson's tour.
Okay, so you have to understand that what most people see of Hollywood is nothing like what actually happens. So you're not a big star because you're a big star. You're a big star because you're signed up to a big agency. And CAA is the biggest agency. So once you are signed up with CAA, they are the people who are supposed to make sure that your fame grows. And so I was actually a little bit surprised that the mainstream media was treating Jordan Peterson so badly, because they're not supposed to do that to CAA people. But I thought it was really, really smart of Jordan Peterson to sign up with CAA, because that's how people know this guy signed up with CAA. You don't mess with CAA. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, public relations, Edward Bernays. There's a lot there that I like talking about that sounds a little paranoid and crazy, but it's not a paranoid conspiracy theory when it's absolutely true.
Well, I hadn't been to this was the first second wave Jordan Peterson event I was at, and there were, it was sold out. I mean, he seems to be selling out wherever he goes. In fact, when we made the plans to go up to Santa Rosa, we tried to get a whole bunch of tickets for our local meetup people, so we could all go together. And the place was all sold out already. So they're obviously working for Jordan in terms of getting venues. And I said, so when we got there, they asked, well, where do you live? I said, Sacramento. I said, oh, that's the one place we couldn't get. I guess they couldn't get the theater they wanted on the day they wanted. So
my suspicion is they signed up Jordan Peterson because CAA does not get caught with its pants down. And they're like, oh, this guy's doing something new, and we want to know what that is.
So who else works with these people? I don't know nothing about them.
Anybody whose name you know is CAA is the agency. Creative so getting dropped from CAA is basically how you find out that you're no longer a big Hollywood star.
Really? Wow. I had no idea about any of this. I lived in blissful ignorance up here in the sticks of Sacramento.
How do you get in? Who cares about how do you get in? I just want to bite at the apple.
Everybody wants to get in. Basically, you have to have already made it in order to be signed to CAA.
Well, I knew a guy that got in. He made a little independent horror film for like $1,500, and it went a little bit viral on YouTube, and he got signed to CAA. This was like 10 years ago, but
hang on, I gotta attend to someone. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves.
So, Mark, you're from New England, eh? Me too.
I am. I'm in New England, although I'll go back to South Carolina as quick as I can.
I see.
So from the Wikipedia page of Creative Artists Agency, CAA is an American talent and sports agency based in Los Angeles, California. It is regarded as an influential company in the talent agency business and manages numerous clients. In March 2016, CAA had 1,800 employees.
Wow, that's more than 4.
They had 3,400 clients.
Wow, that's pretty personalized service at that rate.
Well, maybe they just have big buildings with big events, and they just need all the employees for that. So we can hijack conversation a bit.
Can't hijack the live stream. It's made to be hijacked. It's like
so. Speaking about post-Platonic,
well, you should check out Jacob. You should check out the work we're doing on Clubhouse. They have replays on Clubhouse of our room from Talk Wisdom to Me, the Meaning Monday talks.
I have an Android, and for the longest time it wasn't available. Is it available on Android now?
It is, and I usually post the Clubhouse replays because they're available on the web on the Promos channel, on the Bridges of Meaning Discord, and the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis Discord.
Do people? But I kind of got the impression that Clubhouse kind of died.
Look, it's not what it used to be because a lot of the big names that were on Clubhouse sort of all the time, and I mean big names, they aren't on Clubhouse that much anymore. But they did add a bunch of features. They just added them about a year late. It is available on Android now, but yeah, and there's some complaints from the old timers, and I've just got the tail end of the old timer label, so a lot of them know me. I have magical powers on Clubhouse. I can get on pretty much. I go into a room just to listen, and people pull me on stage, and then I'm like, oh, I feel kind of obligated to say something because they obviously like me enough to want to hear what I have to say. So I'm like, okay.
Well, there were a few incidents on there, and basically I got the feeling that the big names pretty much were like, okay, this isn't working.
Well, look, nothing ever works when you invite everybody and assume that anybody can lead a room and that people know how to moderate. And we had a chat not too long ago, maybe it was 2 months ago, not with the founders, although the founders would open Clubhouse rooms. But we had a chat with some other people, and those other people were like, hey, what would you like to see? And we were like, look, if you're going to moderate, you're going to get crapped on by people, right? They're going to say your moderation is terrible and you're a horrible person and you're a Nazi and things like that, because people do that. Like, that's just what people do. So it's tough to run those sorts of things.
Yeah, Paul does a horrible job of moderating.
I keep the three of you.
Exactly. Actually, so yesterday I had my second of little open discussions, trying to have a similar thing and have people on to talk about where we are and where we're going. Manuel was on the first one, and the one I had yesterday, one of the things that we were talking about was precisely that exclusion thing, and anonymity is a huge problem. It's a huge problem in having a real discussion. And I think part of what keeps this community going is there is so little anonymity in it.
Yeah. You can't build a relationship without a durable person. Hey, there's the pup.
Or a dog.
Durable person on the other end.
Or a dog.
Yeah. Talking about dogs and moderation, I was thinking about Cerebus with the 3 heads.
Well, and that goes back somewhat to the intimacy crisis. See my video with Andrea with the bangs on the intimacy crisis.
On Andrea's channel, not on
Andrea's channel.
Navigating Patterns.
Not on Navigating Patterns, where you can see a video later today about memes from Manuel and I, which is always, and we've got a good one on culture. We've got a good one coming out on memes later today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We've got some good stuff on that channel. It's great. Paul, you should listen to complete videos.
Well, you can't just pitch the video. You got to give them a little nugget. You got to give them a little taste. It's like at Costco. You get that little something. Manuel doesn't know what Costco is. Do you have Costco in the Netherlands?
What are memes? Like, what do we do about these memes? Are they really a danger? Find out more.
No, that's not enough.
No, I got myself confused talking about memes, and I don't get confused. There we go.
You have to give some, so you give a little sample at Costco. You give them just a little bit of satisfaction, and then they're like, I want more satisfaction. And then they type in Navigating Patterns and have to actually figure out which one it is. And subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. Very important.
It's the Schadenfreude at me being confused. Like, people love to see that stuff. Like,
people love to see you confused?
Yes.
They love to see people in general confused, yes.
I think we very much undervalue the capacity of some people to just ask questions. Especially, I hear a lot of people dumping on Dave Rubin for just asking questions. And it's like, no, that used to be something we really valued. I think, for example, Jeff asks really great questions. He refuses to talk about anything, but he asks really great questions. Similarly, I think Andrea, her gift more than anything is just to ask questions. And yeah, it's nice to hear people talking, but somebody who knows to ask the right questions cuts through things in a very good way. You're okay at asking questions, Paul.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks. A few times I want you to ask more sharp questions, but that's me.
You can see me asking really good questions at Agapic Orientation.
I like the channel name. Agapic Orientation.
Yeah, I came up with it 2 years ago, Paul. Like, it was from Vervaeke, right? Like his episode of Art Agape, like that unleashed something in me. Like that was like, oh yeah, that's something worth putting energy into.
Like, but Manuel's good at that. If you need a channel name, go to Manuel, because he actually came up with the name Navigating Patterns for my channel too. Wow. Yeah, Manuel's He's got his little web everywhere. You don't even see it. You're just trapped by it. You have no idea. Yeah. He's everywhere.
Wow. I can't believe how long we've been doing this.
I mean, how many years or how many hours?
How many years? Not how many hours.
Are you at
this is going to be a short one. I talked to Mark, and then he's got me talking to an academic from Vancouver today. So about Bonhoeffer and Christian humanism, and we'll see how that goes. But
are you recording anything good tomorrow, Paul?
I am.
That's it? Come on.
Well, I'm talking to John Vervaeke tomorrow.
Are you talking to John tomorrow?
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
by the way, you keep on saying you're coming on my channel.
Oh. When shall I come on your channel?
Whenever you like, and I would like to do it in live streaming.
Oh, that's dangerous, Paul. Especially with this character.
That's where Jacob can really stick it to me, and then everyone can watch me squirm. Calvinist on a stick.
You better have that Heidelberg Catechism memorized.
Oh wow! Gauntlet has been thrown. My goodness.
So
Paul, if you're coming to him, you also have to come on my show.
Well, I'm all excited about your new format. That's exciting. Yeah. So all right. Well, yes, tomorrow afternoon I am having a conversation with Mark and Joey, and I have to reschedule my family chat because I realized after I said yes to you guys, shoot, that's when I do my family chat. So they're pretty flexible though. My brother-in-law got COVID, so I have to see how he's doing. Boston, it's dangerous up there in Boston.
It is.
Oh, it's lovely.
My friend got infected on a plane to Chicago, and or back from Chicago, and then he had to tell us all because he was here, and I was like, whatever. It's all good.
Just aside, since it's come up a few times, is there any interest in an estuary in the Boston area? I mean, am I the only one who lives around here?
No, you're not.
Oh, we're working on a project right now. We have a Discord server to work on a project to replace the Buckos in Space map with something more reasonable to set up meetups, whether they be estuary type meetups or on the road meetups. We've got a whole bunch of technology that and technical skill on the volunteer team that we are trying to bring to bear. We had a big project meeting last night that Joey organized because Joey's awesome. And so we've got this technology platform that we're developing to kind of help with all that.
Awesome.
And I don't know how long that'll take, but we've started the process, and there's actually a bridgesofmeaning.com website that says under construction. So,
and I hope either in the summer or the fall to do another New England retreat. So my sister has it's kind of like a bed and breakfast in Connecticut, not very far from Rhode Island and Massachusetts, and everything's small up there. But and so what I did a couple of years ago, we were going to do it again, but then COVID, et cetera, et cetera. But basically what we did was we just had like 2 days of free form, free flow conversation, and about a dozen people came. I was really surprised because I just kind of threw it out there, and people flew in from all over the country, about a dozen people. And my sister made sure there was plenty of good food around. She's got all kinds of bedrooms and places to sleep. If some people want to camp, you can put up a tent. And we just hung out for a couple of days and had great conversation. So I hope to do that again.
And just last thing about it, how much time did you spend living in Massachusetts, Paul? Just out of curiosity.
I've never lived in Massachusetts. My mother is from there, and I grew up in New Jersey, and so we were there 2 or 3 times a year for a few weeks. So I've never actually lived there. I've lived in New Jersey, in Michigan, in the Dominican Republic, and in California. Those are the places I've taken up residence.
Yeah, we can tell you've never lived in Massachusetts, and we can tell you lived in New Jersey for sure. There's no question about that. So when might this retreat be, Paul, so I can plan my trips up?
Summer or fall. So I have to get out there and visit my mother and my sister, do some family time with them at some point, and either we'll tack it on then, It looks like the Thunder Bay event is going to happen in September. And yeah, it looks like it's going to happen in September. Hopefully Peugeot can get on an airplane.
That's the best time too. In the whole year, New England, September is the best time.
Yeah. So I have to see when I can shake out a few days. My sister's anxious for me to do a thing like that again, because she has this huge. It used to be a tavern, and it's a very interesting story behind this tavern. It was owned by a Russian Nazi in the 1930s.
What?
Yeah, a Russian Nazi. And the place was called the Russian Bear. It's a very historical building. And so they had a tavern, and so it's kind of this rambling farmhouse, and it's a very interesting guy. My sister knows all the history about him. But she and my brother-in-law bought this thing, and she'll just host, she'll just rent out rooms for special events and stuff like that. So, but there are other places to stay if you don't want to stay at her place. But then I charge a little something just so my sister can make a little money, and then she takes care of all the food and all the hospitality, and I just have to be there and hang out and talk. It was great when we did it.
That sounds awesome. I want to
according to this Joey A guy, I don't know if I can trust him. It looks like they halted trading on Twitter because Elon Musk had bought it.
Yep. He bought it. Yeah, I got a text. I was like, "What? Why am I getting a text? Oh, Elon Musk bought Twitter. Good."
That's huge.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, Twitter as a business is like, yeah, but as a cultural force, this is going to be fascinating to watch.
I have to sign up now.
Someone is going to break some eggs. I actually signed up recently because I need to promote my channel. It's like...
I need to promote my channel.
Got to promote agapic orientation. He's got to help promote navigating patterns. He's got to talk more about Paul Vanderklay and his stuff. Like, it's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. We mention you all the time, Paul, in the Clubhouse.
That's true. We do.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I got bad news for you in terms of promoting your channel on Twitter. The medias, they're silos, really. You know, I remember the first time Jordan Peterson tweeted out one of my videos, and I thought, oh, the channel's going to take a big spike. Nah. Few extra views on the video. And then the last time he did it, yeah, there was kind of a spike, but then it goes down right away. Twitter has the memory of a gnat.
That's very true.
I heard this interesting commentary where there's these silos on Twitter, and that the algorithm is specifically making the silos, and then the check marks are also all leftist leaning people, or like not all, but mostly, right? And they have their own silo because they just ignore all the non-check marks, and yeah, it's a mess.
They said that about YouTube as well, that that recommendation algorithms force people into their own little communities or big communities, and then that's ultimately what caused all the advertising people to leave. A lot of the more controversial people who got demonetized was because the recommendation algorithm was the reason why it was biased or something, you know, because if they didn't have the algorithm, the advertisers wouldn't have really cared who they supported because it would have been dispersed equally. But since certain, controversial things got advertising next to it as a result of the algorithm, that's how they attacked it, you know. So if it was just left freeform without any sorting, I think a lot of those controversial people might remain on YouTube. But anyway.
Well, a recommendation algorithm is a bubble. Like it's a container that constrains so that you don't see everything, because you can't handle seeing everything. Can't even handle seeing most things.
Yeah, and more likely is that you want to see the things that you like. You know, that's
exactly.
why. Yeah.
Right. That's what a recommender system does, though. It caters to you, and so it keeps you in a bubble. And there are ways around that to some extent, but not too many, because we just can't expose ourselves to too much stuff because we get lost.
That's how I found Paul.
Yeah, that's how I found Paul too.
So that's why I said just doing kind of a podcast out there in the ether, you're probably not going to get recognized. YouTube has one of the best ways to get discovered out there. And that's part of the difference between YouTube and a lot of these other video platforms. YouTube's algorithm is just better at it's paying attention to what other people are watching, and it's serving that up to you. And it is a bubble, but it's also an opportunity. Most of these things usually cut both ways.
Yeah, YouTube knew that I wanted to listen to a pastor talking about his cell phone stand all the time.
That's right. So, here it is.
That's a good intimate connection you have with your cell phone stand there, Paul. No intimacy crisis. Oh, there we go.
The beard.
The beard. There we go. The beard.
Oh, what should I do with this beard? It's really getting long.
No, don't keep it for tomorrow. After that, whatever you want. Okay, I need the wisdom, Paul. We need the wisdom. You cut the beard off. I'm telling you, videos change. You start talking crazy with the short beard.
Well, look at you. You got nothing on top or bottom. I mean,
I know. I'm pure wisdom.
You're the hairless one.
I'm the pure wisdom guy. That's what I do.
Nothing can grow on a busy street.
That's right.
That sounds one of these Dutch proverbs.
Probably is.
What do we got here? Hey, Chad. Did you see you made it into the sermon?
I did. That was the weirdest thing, man.
Yeah.
That was cool. I showed my wife. I was like, "This is weird." I'm like this drunk from Wisconsin. We get make it into some pastor's sermon from Sacramento.
Your sermon illustration now. Congratulations.
Yay!
God
does care.
You and all the pastor's children. Pastor's kids are always sermon illustrations. Sometimes they grow up to resent it.
Did he get his own slide?
Yeah.
I did.
He did. He had his own slide. He was in the gratitude part. So that's like a good part to be in. Better than the misery. You don't want to be on the misery slide.
No. I think it's this one. We ended up having a men's retreat that I went to this weekend.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was like, because we've done it for the last 5 years, and then, well, that wasn't going to happen because of COVID the last 2 years. So my sponsor and a bunch of us guys that I sponsor and the guys he sponsors and all that stuff, we had our annual retreat, and it was awesome, dude. It was just so good, man.
Terrific. I like the beard.
Oh, shoot. Are you catching my whole face?
No, just little glimpses of it. You're teasing the people. It's great. Your channel's going to skyrocket.
Oh yeah, that's going to happen. Cause I got the content. You know what I'm saying, bro? Oh yeah.
If you want to be entertained, Bridges of Meaning Hub channel is the way to go.
Bridges of Meaning Hub channel. I like the tile work there.
Thanks.
Too bad we don't all live in one place. I'd have you. I have a bathroom floor I got to replace.
I'd be happy to do it. But hey, I'll see you over in Chicago, man. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so looking forward to this. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be gnarly. I'm gonna mute so I don't drive you guys nuts with all this extra noise.
All right, it's not so bad. All right, I got about 10 more minutes before I gotta. So we're having the big fence project going on right now. That's Rogers out there, and another guy I know, Scott, and the Great Wall of Living Stones is going up.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see a mini documentary about the fence being put up.
I'll have to go out there and take some pictures.
All the people around.
Well, so far it's just living stoners. So that's what it's. So I always call them that, and then they're all like these 80-year-old women who, some of them have histories, others not so much. So 80-year-olds have histories too. History wasn't just youthful rebellion wasn't invented only 20 years ago.
What are you going to talk to Vervaeke about, Paul? Like, where are you going with that conversation? Do you know?
So after his last question and answer that I saw on the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis server, He talked a little bit about retirement, and I wanted to talk to him in some broader terms about sort of what both of us have been through, because we both worked predominantly in institutions. So myself in a church institution, him in the university. Although, his path in the university is quite interesting, and that section in the Q&A I thought was very interesting. But then here late in our careers, we stumble into this new thing, YouTube, and that has opened up opportunities for us and very much sort of changed our trajectories. Of course, this happened in a huge way to Peterson, but it hasn't been nearly as disruptive for John and myself, for which I'm quite thankful. I do think people belittle it when I make this point, but yeah, I'm sure Jordan likes the money and the access to celebrities and talk to many people who he probably wouldn't have had a chance to talk to before. All that is cool for him. But the guy clearly loved his professions of being a university professor, both teaching undergrad, which he clearly was, really good at, and working with research students and having the practice of a clinical psychologist. I mean, he clearly loved doing those things. Those are deeply meaningful things for him to do, and he can't do them anymore. Now, John Vervaeke and I don't have that limitation, for which I think we're both thankful, but yet I think we both are now at a point where we're trying to figure out, okay, I'm a local church pastor, something that's very meaningful and enjoyable, but I'm reaching the end of that career, and there are all these other opportunities. What does this mean? How should we think about it? The internet is disrupting a lot of institutions, and it's clearly disrupting the church, and it's clearly disrupting the university. And so for both of us, we're kind of at the front edge of thinking that through. So I wanted to talk to him about that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. He's doing another Q&A on the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis Discord server tonight. I think it's 6:30 Eastern.
Okay.
So his Q&As on the Discord server are kind of interesting sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes not. Usually terrifying to me, but some of the things they get into, I'm like, what? This is not the direction I thought that was going to go in for sure.
Yeah, they get really esoteric over there sometimes. So, but you two,
I think you'll have an opportunity to talk to Tammy on as like a rando slot.
The opportunity to talk to who?
Tammy Peterson.
I think that might. So Tammy was with Jordan. She opened the show. She did the question and answer. Got a chance to talk with her a little bit with Jordan backstage. So, yeah, I think probably, I don't have her email address, but I could probably get hold of her through Peugeot. She'd probably like coming on. I don't tend to seek out people unless I have an agenda for the conversation, because part of it is they don't know me, and so then the other side of the conversation is sort of driving blind. And so, whereas I'd love to talk to Tammy, the question would be what setting. And I like what she's doing with Peugeot, but they already had a previous relationship, so that helps set the table. And part of it is,
yeah, you could always talk with her about service. She seems to be engaging in a lot more of that.
Well, I think her life has, obviously her spell with cancer changed her life, and I would think she would say in a good way. I think both Jordan and Tammy probably have a far keener sense of their own mortality after what they've both been through. And that tends to focus the mind and help people make, this is where I want to spend my time. This is what's important. And I really encouraged both of them to, I think, forefront their relationship. I think one of the best videos was when Jordan and Tammy and Michaela were talking, because there's an intimacy there that we see a lot of people who don't know each other have conversations for an hour or two on YouTube. That can be okay. Usually both people sort of talk their usual points, and then maybe there's some intersection, but it's hard to get much of that. The more intimacy you have, it's very estuarial. The more opportunity you actually have for something really interesting and productive to come out of the nuance and the detail.
Yeah, you've got the depth and the grounding, and then things can emerge, and they can emerge towards something, emanating from above. We'll say that shining star is I think Peterson would put it, right?
Yeah.
And I think, that's I like Chad's idea, though. I mean, people don't talk enough about service. I remember taking a trip, up to the airport in one of those airport vans, and this woman was talking about service, and my brain went, you don't know what she's talking about. She's using that word in a way that you're not familiar with. And I was like, oh, okay. And she started to explain service and how she was like 12 and she learned about service from her parents. And, and I was like, whoa, this is interesting. And the sacrifice that entails.
Right.
Right.
That's what it is. It's sacrifice. Well, it's going to take my time and attention. That's the whole point. It's supposed to take your time and attention. So.
Or the video game. Either one. They're equal. Don't worry about it.
You can pour your life. That's, I love playing Civilization, but sometimes after I'm done with 3 or 4 hours, it's like, did I really spend 3 or 4 hours building an imaginary world that is just evaporates?
Not very intimate, is it?
Nope.
Paul, you could do a Let's Play. Next time you have 3 or 4 hours, record yourself playing Civ and upload it to the channel. I bet it would be pretty interesting. I used to love playing Civ.
You can do an impromptu multiplayer.
Yes, that would be a lot of fun. That could be, but everybody would see my moves.
Well, you can just video it instead of do it live. But
that could be fun. I go in spurts with Civ. I'll play for a week or two, with just some found time, and then I won't touch it for 3 months. And
all right, last question. Which was your favorite version? Mine was 4.
Oh, boy, I don't know. See, I'm so bad with favorites. 3? Yeah, I played a lot of 3.
3 was good.
There's some aspects of 6 I like. See, the problem, when I can get my son Jared to play with me, and sometimes my son Jared and Ben to play with me, that's always fun. But we always wind up being, he's got a land empire and I've got an air and sea empire. And so if we're on the same continent, he'll destroy me. But if I'm a different continent, he can never get at me, and it drives him crazy because I always think his army's in the ocean. So
classic
probably listen to this and want to have at it. But he had so when I did that video about, I mentioned Skyrim, he's like, I don't play Skyrim anymore. I play, Elden Ring. So he's with that whole thing. So.
One last real quick question, Paul.
Yeah.
Did you get to see Father Stu? Did you watch that film?
Father Stu?
Yeah. With Mark Wahlberg?
No.
Oh man, it's a great movie.
Oh, okay.
It's good. Yeah, it's a true story, based on a true story about a guy who kind of reckless, who later ends up becoming a father, and then he goes through suffering. It's a story about suffering and peace out of suffering, all that good stuff. It's really, really good. I'm surprised you haven't heard of it.
I saw Mark Wahlberg did a movie that looked religious in nature, but the only time I get to watch movies is if I can talk my wife into it, because I just don't have time to look at movies by myself. So.
Yeah, well, it wasn't corny like a lot of Christian films I see.
I will throw it in the back of my mind, and it may come. I may see it. So, well, at last licks in navigating patterns, agapic agency. No, that's not it. Agapic
orientation. Navigating patterns. Sign, subscribe, like, love, tweet.
Yes, give us a lot of love. Give us some agape. I like how you misspoke in agency. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, so Adrian W says, Paul, have you considered dyeing it like Jack Murphy? No, this is pure. This is white.
Pure wisdom. Unadulterated wisdom, baby.
This is pure. All right. Fences trimmed with razor wire. No razor wire on the Livingstone's wall. So.
Oh, Paul.
Yes.
When you talk to Vervaeke tomorrow, if you have a chance, maybe you could ask him. There was a question last Friday about a book of the meaning crisis, a book that would kind of condense into the meaning crisis. Maybe if you have time, you could ask him if he has a good recommendation or something like that.
There's a Q&A tonight.
Okay, then maybe I'll just ask him myself.
Discord. Yeah, you can. I'll give you an invite.
Thank you.
Manuel will hook you up. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. It was great chatting with you. And hopefully I'll do a conversation. Hopefully this afternoon I'll actually make a video and there'll be something on the channel tomorrow morning. Wouldn't that be special?
Sweet.
Oh, that'd be really
stuff. Good. I know some people are complaining, so it's the way it is. So take care.
See you, Paul.
Toodles.